Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Pete Monroe. Hello. I'm the director of media with True Kids One. And today on the Tech Bits, I'm going to be talking about a video starter kit, or also like a video and photo starter kit. As I was putting the slide together, I was thinking, I've been trying to target a lot of this stuff at just like regular people who either want to just learn this stuff for the sake of it, or also, you know, families that maybe have small businesses that they want to create media for, things like that. So, and also obviously students as well. So, I'm going to be talking about like the stuff that you need to start creating your own media, photos and videos and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share. And yeah, so I work with True Kids One. We're a youth media nonprofit based in Taos, New Mexico, and we teach all kinds of things to students. Our mission is to inspire K through 12 students to create, communicate, and collaborate in the digital age. A lot of times I find myself, not just, I try to impart my experience and knowledge onto students, but a lot of times you'd be surprised how powerful it is to just give a kid a camera. So that's, and also a computer. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the computer situation in New Mexico is not necessarily the best. And I know that schools are trying, but we're in a unique position where, we are, raising money through grants and the state funding and individual donors, and we're able to actually purchase high-powered computers that are, specifically targeted at media creation. We also work with the UNM Taos Hive, and they have a bunch of computers that we hold an after-school program there where kids get access to the Adobe Creative Cloud. And honestly, from there, it's a lot of like self-training, tutorials and things like that. So we teach in school, after school, and we also have out-of-school programs that we bring kids along and train them on and allow them to participate in professional productions. So today I'm talking about video and photo creator starter kit. This is going to be fun for me because I spend way too many hours outside of work looking up cameras and things like that. And I've learned a ton. I mean, I'm a filmmaker at heart. That's where my foundation is. I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and I kind of just bought a camera and I had a computer and I just started making music videos and short films and things like that. So I definitely did not go to film school. It's not something you need to go to school for. But there's no shortcuts. You have to take time and spend time with everything you want to learn, whether it's camera or editing, anything like that. You have to spend time with it. So the main thing, if you are looking to purchase camera gear, is the big question is, what do you want to do? Like, what are you going to be doing with this stuff? Do you have a small business and you want to take photos of your products? Do you want to start a video, like a vlog? Do you want to put yourself on YouTube and talk about stuff? Like, what do you want to do? And so that will kind of dictate what kind of equipment you need to start out. And there's some things you can kind of, you can dip your toes and spend less money. Obviously, there's a lot of people are working on a budget, and I totally get it. This is not necessarily like an inexpensive venture for people. This is something that, because you're investing a lot of technology, you want to invest what I like to call future proofing. Like, if I'm going to purchase something, if I'm going to spend $2,000 on a computer, or let's say I'm looking at a computer and it costs me an extra two, three, $400 to get twice as much RAM, that will make my computer faster, last longer. I mean, and same goes with cameras. Like, I don't want to buy a 20 megapixel camera today because, like, today that's fine. That's fine. But in 5, 6, 7 years, it might be irrelevant. If I buy a 30 megapixel camera today, that will be relevant for a while. So it's really about what you want to do. So, you can be doing product and website photography or videos, social media creation, art. Everything has a different purpose. And that's really a big question you need to ask yourself. So, like when I'm watching YouTube, like I watch a lot of like camera review channels and things like that. You can see the difference between somebody that takes the time to light themselves on camera and somebody that doesn't. So this guy here, he actually made a video on like how much of a difference it can make. Down here, you can see he hasn't lit himself. He just kind of turned on the camera. Okay, fair enough. But like his face is dark. His shirt is dark versus this over here looks really nice. Why does it look really nice? Well, let me go back to the previous slide. He's probably got stuff that looks like this. And I know that this might be a little intimidating for some people, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this complicated. Also, these lights, you just plug them in. You can set up these diffuse light box things, but for what this guy is doing, it's like he might just have like a simple $100 light that you don't have to, it's just like a light panel thing, like a really simple. And then he's got a couple colored lights back here. See this like blue and red on the side? It just kind of makes this whole scenario look nice. And same with this guy. He's got an orange and a purple light off to the side. And he's got, I guess, a few lights, but you don't necessarily need this, like this light back here. The purpose of this light, the purpose of this light is to kind of light him from behind. If you look at his like shoulder and the back of his head, it gives you like what's called like a halo light or a rim light. Also, he's talking about a lot of products like cameras and things like that. And so this light also adds light to the product, because sometimes he might be hanging like a camera from above to demonstrate some product or something like that. And I should remind you guys that a lot of students' ambition these days is to be like one of these people where they make hundreds of thousands of dollars being YouTubers. That's my understanding. They make a living at it, that's for sure. But they've worked at it for a long time. They, spend time making their videos look good, and they gain, I don't know, 100,000 followers, 1 million, or subscribers. The big thing on YouTube is subscribers. So, but anyway, I put these two up here because I feel like this guy here, it's like, I don't know. I mean, look at the difference. This looks nice. This looks nice. This obviously doesn't look that nice. This guy, I put this photo up because like I've watched some of his videos. He's on, he does a lot of these like Lumix camera reviews, and this microphone, this big ugly microphone is right on camera, and I don't know what's going on in the background. And it's like he's lit, sufficiently, but I don't know, the background is weird. So the point of all this is to say that a lot of this, like if you're going to get into photography and video, it's an investment. And part of the reason it's an investment is because it's a visual medium. They're both visual mediums, or they're both visual media, I should say. And it makes an impact to have it look good. Like when you watch these two, you might not even really be fully aware of this lighting, but on some kind of subconscious level, I'm looking at these videos appreciating the fact that they have good lighting and good sound, right? So it really pays to have that. And so the first thing, obviously, when we're getting into starter kits is the camera. This is crucial. And again, I'm trying to target this at beginners. So I'm not pretending like, you know, you're going to dive in and buy a $3,500 camera body. I'm targeting it for under $1,000. And I even know that that's a lot of money, but like I said, if you go for less, I mean, I could have done this for like phones and stuff, but part of the big difference between phones, the reason I want a camera like this is because of this lens right here. So this lens right here, this is something that camera phones have not, and I heavily doubt will ever catch up to this. I know that Apple is trying their damnedest to create this like, you know, portrait mode and cinema mode to like have a blurred out background, which is also known as bokeh. For those who don't know what bokeh is, you just Google the word, it's B-O-K-E-H. Bokeh is this lovely blurry stuff that happens in the background of your photo when things are out of focus. And what that does is, like when I'm taking a headshot of somebody, the person is in focus. As soon as this snaps into, I think it's my internet that's maybe running a little slow right now. But I think you get the idea. There's like this blurred out background. This person's in focus, and then all of this stuff in the background, this is bokeh. And this blurred out background doesn't happen accidentally. It happens in a very controlled manner when you control your f-stop. So when I take a photo, the f-stop, this is wrong. Don't pay attention to that. This is right. So if I look at this flower here, f1.8, so the aperture of the f-stop is this mechanism inside that lens that allows light into the lens, and eventually the shutter opens and light hits the sensor. I can have the f-stop at 1.4, or I can have it at f16. I can even, a lot of cameras go to f22, like this example over here. And by the way, not every camera goes to 1.4. 1.4 is what you would call it, like a kind of like a high speed lens. I don't know why they refer to it as speed, but I have inklings, but essentially, yeah, not every lens goes like that open. Most of them go to like, I don't know, something like this, like 3.5 or something like that. But what happens when you open it to 1.8 is, see the difference between this blurred out background and f22 right here. Maybe we can go to this page so we can get a better. Yeah. So at f22, everything, like, it's not like everything back here is in focus, but I have a much better sense of what's in the background versus 1.8 f-stop. I have no clue. I mean, these are just blurry, blobby backgrounds, and I'm able to, it just looks really nice, and it creates this focus on the flower that I would not have otherwise on f22. So that's what's happening with what you call an interchangeable lens. So that's what you get. You can't do that really on phones, okay? And that's the same for photo and video both. So, and by the way, and what I've learned in the last couple of years is that lenses are super important. Lenses, like, you can have a cheap lens that comes with this camera and it'll be fine. You know, it could be fine for what you need, but lenses can get very expensive, and there's a reason, because they're just, there's, you know, because of that, there's like prime lenses and zoom lenses. So zoom lens, obviously I can zoom in and out, and I can have flexibility in that. With a prime lens, I have a fixed focal length, right? Like it's 12 millimeter or 85 millimeter or something like that. And I can't zoom, but what a lot of prime lenses have is the ability to open up the f-stop wider than a zoom lens. So prime lenses are very sought after in that regard. And then you just move yourself closer or further away from your subject to get the shot that you want, essentially. So when I'm looking for a camera, the first thing I'm looking at is the megapixel count. Essentially, this is the quality, the detail that I get out of it. And this also allows me to reframe. Like if I take a photo and I'm like, it would be nicer if I could like crop in a little bit. There's going to be a big difference between a 20 megapixel camera and a 30 megapixel camera, or even like 100 megapixel camera. And there are cameras out there that do 100 megapixels. They're super expensive. I think even one of the Samsung phones does it. I'm not sure what that looks like, but again, it's not going to have that lens, and that's huge. For video, I'm looking for resolution and frame rates. Resolution being 4K or 1080, 4K or 1080, also known as full HD. Regular HD, just HD, is 720. So I did a whole series on resolutions and frame rates and things like that. If people want to go check it out. And the other thing I'm looking for is lens prices and options, and also just generally other features. So the main website I go to when I'm researching cameras is B&H. B&H Photo Video. They're out of New York. I just really like their interface. I click on the photography, even though these are really, by the way, these are hybrid cameras. Hybrid meaning they do photo and video. And when I come to this website, there, as you can see, like cameras are expensive, like I said, but I can select mirrorless cameras. DSLRs are pretty much getting outdated. Cameras used to have a mirror right in front of the sensor, and the sensor would move out of the way. The mirror would, the lens would send the image to the mirror, and the mirror would go up into the viewfinder, and you could actually look through the viewfinder and see the world, like real life through here. But now with mirrorless, I get right here what's called an EVF, which is an electronic viewfinder. So this is where cameras are going now. I mean, they're already there. We bought TrueKids, we bought a Canon 90D. This camera to me kind of feels like the last bastion of good mirror DSLR cameras. It's got a lot. It's got nice specs, and I have a headphone jack and a mic jack, and it's got a nice body, and there's lots of good quality to it. You can do 4K up to 30, as you can see right here, and 120p, which is slow motion. You can do slow motion at 60 or 120. Sometimes some cameras do 240. My iPhone will do 240. And basically what that means is you shoot in that frame rate, and you can bring it into your editor, and you can slow down the video. Like if I'm shooting at, if I'm editing in a 24 frames per second timeline, and I am shooting at 120 frames per second, then that means I can slow down to 20% speed and have perfectly smooth slow motion video, but only in full HD. And I think with 60, you can slow down to 40%. So these are things that I'm considering. And I'm going to go over all this stuff, so let's proceed. So here's a few cameras I'm going to throw out to you people. These are all coming in at between $700 and $800. That's with the lens. You'll notice on this B&H website that a lot of cameras it'll just say you'll see just the picture of the body, like this. This is $1,200 for just the body of the camera. Why would they only sell the body and not a lens? Well, because sometimes the lenses that come with the cameras, like this one, I personally have worked with this lens and I regret it. I didn't buy this camera. I bought a similar Sony camera and I just despise this lens. Like when you power the camera on and off, it's like a power zoom, which some people might want, but for me, I don't want that. And it like retracts the lens. Like, so if I have the camera set up and I power the camera down, it will like unzoom the camera from where I had it. And it's super annoying. And it's just a cheap kind of plastic lens. I haven't really just a lot of kit lenses can, just be very cheap and basic. And like I said, lenses are super important, and you can have a really cheap camera behind a really nice lens and the image will look amazing. And likewise, conversely, you can have a really expensive camera behind one of these crappy lenses and it'll look like crap. But I mean, again, I'm targeting this at like low cost. So, it's good to learn on this stuff. You can shoot with this stuff, and I'm not saying it's like crappy in that it's unacceptable. It's just basic. You'll see, as for those who get really into this stuff, you'll see that like when you get into prime lenses, when you get into more expensive lenses, you'll see why they cost more, because the image tends to be better. You can open up the f-stop more, things like that. So this is the Sony ZV-E10. It's a 24 megapixel photo, 4K. It goes up to 4K 24, 30 frames per second. Either or, you can switch between these modes, or it'll shoot full HD, 24, 30, 60, or 120 frames per second. That to me is just a fantastic lineup for $800. I mean, it's really, that's like, I would say class leading in this price range. The thing I don't like about this camera, well, I've had experience with Sony's, and the menu system is just not super easy. Not that you need to, spend a lot of time in the menu. You might just have your settings and you're good. But it's just not necessarily the most user-friendly. That said, the autofocus on Sony is basically the best. It's incredible. The image stabilization, like when you're shooting video and you get this kind of wobbly, handheld look, the Lumix is going to be better in that regard. So, and I think also the Canon. There's no perfect camera. Every camera is going to have pluses and minuses and things like that. So when I go to B&H and I search up ZV-E10, you can see that I can get $800 with the lens. And the big thing that I notice is I have no viewfinder. There's no eyepiece like these two. If you look on the back of these two, I'll just open these up in a different tab. Let's see, the Lumix G95 and the Canon M50. So you see on the back of this one, I have this nice little viewfinder, electronic viewfinder, and same with this one. So this is really meant for vloggers, but it does take 24 megapixel photos. And also you can buy it without the lens. And that's probably what I would do if I were you. It's $700, but you can, and we can talk about lenses later, but like, I would just get a better lens. I would kind of cough up the money for a better lens. So anyway, what this does have is, if you look on the side here, it has this. This is actually also for headphone, or I'm sorry, a microphone, and then a headphone jack. This is something I look for when I'm making videos, because we're doing a lot of interviews. And I want to, when I'm doing interviews, I want to make sure that our sound is good. A lot of cameras might only have the mic jack. So keep an eye out for this stuff, because if you want to be filming yourself, or, doing interviews or something like that, I would like to have a headphone jack so I can make sure. I don't want to hope that the mic is working. You know what I mean? But my understanding is that this is a great camera. We have a Sony a6600. It's significantly more. So for a starter, I would say this camera is pretty good. And, Sony has a lot of programmable buttons, and they're nice, solid quality build. So when I search a camera in here, I go to specs, and every camera has its own lens mount. This is the Sony E mount. You can't just buy any lens. You have to buy a lens that has the Sony E mount. So that's something to consider when you're investing in cameras, is you're not just buying the camera, you're buying the lenses. And so when you spend $1,000 on a lens, like, you could upgrade, and you want to upgrade, you could upgrade to a camera that still uses that lens. You don't have to buy a lens. So that's really something to consider. And I suggest taking your time with these things. I just thought I would pause really quick. Does anybody have any questions at the moment? No? Okay. I'm like, I feel like I need to check the chat every now and then. So 20, what's that?
There's no questions in the chat.
Okay, great. So this takes 24 megapixel photos. It does have image stabilization, but like I said, it's not that great. It's okay. And the other thing I go down to is internal recording modes. So this is where I'm looking at. Says Ultra HD, so it shoots in 24, 25, and 30. Basically, you round up 30 frames per second, or 1920 by 1080, which is full HD at 24, 25, 30, 60, and 100. This says 100, but this is actually 120 slow motion. Don't worry too much about this 420 8-bit and 422 8-bit. Essentially, that I think refers to the color depth, the bit depth. Some cameras are 10-bit, 12-bit, 16-bit. The higher the bit, the more, the better the color and the better the detail. I think that helps with detail as well, because there's more colors involved. But this is not bad for a starter camera. Also, look at this. There's no record limit. That's pretty huge. That means that I could, if I want to, let's say I want to film a performance of some kind. Let's say I want to film my child's dance recital, and the dance recital is in 2 acts, and each act is 45, 50 minutes. Well, a lot of cameras, there's basically 2 types of cameras. There's cameras that have recording limits up to 30 minutes, and there's cameras that have no recording limit. That's a big feature to me. Also, because we do interviews, we do a lot of interviews. So sometimes we're talking to people for 40 minutes. And the idea that I have to that the camera is going to automatically stop recording at 30 minutes, that kind of sucks. So yeah. And then we can check out the G95. This kind of has a slightly bigger body, but we're getting a lot of the same kind of buttons here. We can this one has a little switch between autofocus and manual focus. We actually do have this camera, and this camera does have a mic jack, and right in here it has a headphone jack. So that was part of the reason I got this for my students, because this is not the best camera by any means, but for students learning and for beginners, I think it works. And also it's handheld. It has great stabilization. So, that really is nice. But if we go to the specs, so this has Panasonic Lumix tends to make cameras that are more video oriented and less photo oriented. So just kind of keep that in mind. This does 20 megapixel photos. It has image stabilization. This says sensor shift 5-axis. That is better than the other one that says digital. It's like it does it digitally, like in the camera, like the camera's computer processor does like a digital image stabilization versus this, which is like a physical cushioning around the actual sensor. So this just works much better, in my opinion. But the autofocus is not going to be as good. Recording mode wise, like resolution and frame rates, I think you're getting pretty much the same thing: 4K, 24 or 30 frames per second, or HD, full HD up to 60. And also sometimes it says, I don't know why this doesn't say it, but this actually does shoot at 120 frames per second in slow motion, but there are limitations. There's no autofocus, something like that. And this website doesn't always do the best at telling me whether there's slow motion. So if you really are curious about shooting slow motion, then I suggest you dig a little bit deeper and watch some videos on YouTube about, Lumix G95 slow motion and see if anything comes up. All these cameras connect to Wi-Fi. You can connect it with your phone so you can take remote photos and things like that. So these are just some of the basic specs that I'm going over with you guys here. And then this is the Canon M50 Mark II. This I think is probably better for photos. It's got 24 megapixel, good image stabilization. But there's no headphone jack on this, I'm pretty sure. Like if you look on the side, there's a slot for the mic, but not for the headphone. And so when I'm looking at the specs, all this is pretty good, except this is where Canon can get a little stingy on their specs. They shoot it's 4K, 24 frames per second only, no 30. So if I'm only going to be putting videos up on YouTube that are that are not like short films, then I would probably be doing 30. Like if I was doing like product review or product photography or video, product video, let's say I was shooting a commercial or something, and I knew that I was going to go online, I would definitely do it at 30 frames per second. It said that it does HD 120 frames per second, but I would not shoot at this size. Just don't do it. It looks bad. It just looks old, and you don't want to put out new material. I don't even know why they have this, to be honest. You can't record, and then there's a recording limit. So this one only shoots up to 30 minutes. So this is really more of a photography camera. And then if you look here in the interface, this means like all those slots. So it tells me there's an SD card slot. It's got a micro HDMI output. And then right here under audio, there's only a microphone. There's no headphone. So these are just some of the things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at cameras. I think these are all reasonable, but there are definitely more out there. If you're interested, there's a great website that I've been into recently called DP Review. I really like these guys. They just they cover both photo and video really well. And they have these like buying guides. So you can be like, best camera around $1,000. So they are a big supporter of Fuji. I didn't put Fuji on my list because I don't really have too much experience with Fuji. I have experience with the others. Fuji, and again, it's like, if you're going to buy Fuji, you got to like realize that you're like buying the lenses and you're kind of investing in the brand a little bit. So they're telling me that This XS10 is really good, and all the reasons. So, and then here's all the other ones that are like also available. And then again, like these might be more oriented towards photography. So you might want to go buying guides, best video camera for photographers. It just, they have a lot of different, things to look at here. This camera is like $2,500 for just the body. So, you know, you got to be a little bit aware of, you know, what you're getting into here. So, so yeah, that's a good website resource. They have reviews too, I think, for like, if I look up G95, they have a review, and, you know, 83%, not bad for a $700 camera. And there's specs review. Let's see the review. So it gives you like a scoring on all the different stuff, what it's good for, what it's not good for, all that kind of stuff. I mean, this says those seeking a light and portable camera, videographers and wedding. Yeah. But I think this is a good camera for people starting out. The other thing we need to look out for, the other second thing we need is the tripod. And when I get my tripod, I'm looking for build quality. What I don't want is to go to Amazon and say, I want a tripod, because what you're going to get are these little guys. That one's actually not bad. This is for photography though. See how this has a handle, and then like a lot of phone tripods come up. So you're like, oh, $36, what a steal. Okay, well, this thing is made of like basically plastic. Even if the legs are made of aluminum, like what is it telling me? I don't even know that this is made of aluminum. But basically the important part is that all of the tripod head is made of plastic, and that is not going to be good. It's not going to last you very long. So, I mean, even this one, this says aluminum, but again, that tripod head, this is probably going to be like plastic. So if you're really looking, again, like what I do is I'll do a lot of my research on B&H, and I'll search video tripod, and you'll see that there's not video tripod. I don't know, maybe it's loading. There are some decent video tripods, but just make sure if you're doing photography, you're looking for photography. What's nice about something like this one is actually very lightweight and portable. It converts into a monopod. And this little mechanism right here, this ball head, allows you to basically loosen one of these knobs and go from landscape mode to portrait mode super fast. So this is probably like a decent little photography, let's see, video tripod. See, now when you look at video tripod, you see the actual heads of the tripods get a lot bigger, because when you're panning and tilting, you want it to be smooth. And when I see these 3 legs, that to me usually means that it's going to be kind of heavy, or just a little bit bulkier. That doesn't mean that it's super heavy. You can look at the weight. But in this, on my slide here, I have some options. This is the Magnus V200. And actually these are links, so we can actually just click on that. And this is definitely going to be like a cheaper tripod. But I think that the head of it is going to be pretty decent. Just the design of it is going to be, it might still be plastic, but it's going to be a little, and then there's different versions. I mean, you can upgrade what's nice. I mean, Magnus is kind of famous for like their inexpensive, but solid tripods. Like here's $100 one, and, you know, you're going to get something a little bit better than, you know, one of these cheap Amazon tripods. And then you could upgrade to this. This is just, again, one example. This is Neewer. They make a lot of inexpensive photo and video products. This one's out of stock, but I'm guarantee you could find this on Amazon. And this one you can convert into a monopod. It's kind of this travel style. If you see how this folds up like this, this is not my favorite, to be honest. But it works. And it's solid. You know, I also personally, for me, I look for the flip lock on the bottom of the leg as opposed to the twist lock, which is kind of like this. It's like this, but on the legs. And I find them to be a pain in the butt. And then this actually, I just discovered recently, you know, this I think looks really solid. It looks lightweight and it just looks really great. So, and then the other thing I look for is this little, this is called like a ball leveling head. And essentially this allows you to set up your tripod. And if it's not perfectly level, right? Like if you're looking at this little green bubble right here and you're trying to level your tripod, this little twisty arm thing underneath here, in fact, this thing, you can loosen this, and the mechanism that it's on, you can just swivel it a little bit to adjust so that you're level. And this one even comes in carbon fiber for an extra $100 if you want something super light. But this one to me looks really solid. So there's some tripod options. I think that's, you know, you need a camera, you need a tripod. If you're doing like wildlife photography or something, then this one might be the right choice because you can convert this to a monopod. You basically just unscrew one of the legs and you loosen this knob and you take the whole thing out and you can kind of put them together and it becomes this like monopod. I don't think this one does that. In fact, I know that it doesn't because there's no center shaft thing. And this definitely doesn't do that. The other thing that we need to talk about, just camera kit basics, is the mic. And there's a lot of different kinds of mics. Again, what are you doing? Like, we can go back to the big question. What do you want to do? You know, are you doing like, do you want to shoot little documentaries? Do you want to film yourself in a contained environment? There's all different purposes for all these different mics. And I encourage you to, you know, go on YouTube and watch some videos. I did not go to film school for this. I've learned a ton of stuff in the last few years, and it's all because it was out of necessity and I just needed to understand things. And I learned a lot about all these different mics and cameras and things like that. So here's just a few different kinds of mics. These are, like, I would say, some of the basics. The shotgun mic is like this one right here. It's a big microphone, maybe like a little over a foot. And I use this for all of our interviews. This is called a boom pole right here. And this is like a boom pole cradle or holder that you can put onto a stand so that, you know, nobody has to stand there and hold the shotgun mic. But this microphone, this big microphone, is going to sound better than one of these little lav mics, right? Because it's a big mic, so it's better at recording things. What's the advantage? Why would I ever use a lav mic? Well, I would use a lav mic if I'm interviewing two people, or if I'm on camera interviewing someone, then I would use a lav mic. I would use a lav mic if I'm outdoors maybe and I'm walking around with somebody. And then this short shotgun mic right here, this one is a very excellent alternative to the built-in camera sound, to the built-in microphone that is on the camera. You get a lot of camera noise, like if I'm using the Panasonic. See this little thing right here, these little camera strap, like little straps things. These things jiggle and jangle when I'm walking around. So that's really, and the camera, the built-in microphone that's on the camera picks up all that stuff. So if I'm using something like this, then, well, first of all, I can take off those little things that jingle and jangle. But anyway, even this short shotgun is going to sound 10 times better than the built-in microphone, because the camera is designed to take images, photos and images. It's not a device that's designed to record audio. So therefore the microphone that's built into the camera is not going to be very good. So here's some options as far as audio recording. And I can't emphasize enough that audio recording is huge. If you're going to be filming anything that requires audio, like if you're going to be talking to somebody, or if you're going to be recording yourself talking or anything like that, if you do not have good audio, people will not watch your video. Plain and simple. I can't stand it. It means that you didn't care to take the time to record good sound, and it just sounds bad. It just makes it, like if I'm going to watch videos on YouTube and I'm going to, watch somebody reviewing a camera or doing some kind of vlogging thing, bad audio gets in the way of me soaking in the information. So again, I know that this stuff can get expensive, but you're getting a sense of like, okay, well, I'm going to spend $800 on that, maybe $100 on that, and a few $100s. So there is a world where you keep all of this stuff, under $1,500, let's say. That's not that bad. And it gets real easy to balloon. I just watched a video on starter kits, and this guy was like quoting 2,500, which I get, because I didn't even talk about lights. Let me see. LED panel light. We just purchased these, and actually I had the RECs purchase these because we're going to be filming. You get 2 lights for $175. You can control the temperature. These are fantastic. I already took them out, and they don't take batteries. You just they have like built-in batteries. So this is something else you might want to look into. If you're going to be filming yourself, lighting is the other good thing that you need. So these are the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics. There's the Rode shotgun mic. There's no reason why. There's other brands, but I know that Rode is a good company. And yet they're also like kind of on the more affordable side. I know that might be hard to believe, but if I go to B&H and I look up shotgun mic, then you'll see the first one that comes up is a Sennheiser, and it's $329. Sennheiser is like pretty amazing. They're like kind of the industry standard. You can see it's a #1 seller. So there's a lot of different, and I don't want you to get like too intimidated here. It's like, why is this $249 and this one $99? Well, this one's longer, and I don't know. I just would assume that the sound is going to be better. Simple operation with no controls, basically. On the back of this one, you get volume control and things like that. So just, and then here's even like a little mini short, super ultra compact shotgun. That's $50. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. Just, you can read up on some specs, check the reviews. But anyway, this one, I put the link here as well. These are really wonderfully small and compact. They pair like super easy. They're very easy to use. One thing that you should know that's kind of cool is if you look on the top of this one, there's this little hole right here. That is a microphone. That is a microphone. You actually don't necessarily need to get this little lav mic. I prefer that because I think that having this big box, this not big, but it's even having this like little black box hanging from your shirt, it looks bad. But I know a lot of YouTubers kind of, they'll just hold this box and it looks fine. And if you want to use it instead of a handheld mic, I say that that's fine. But if you're going to be interviewing somebody and you want them talking to the camera and not holding something, then I would say get this little lav. This is the lav, and then you just plug it right in here, and you have a really nice lav kit. And then there's like different setups. This is $200 without the lav. You could get, and you can go all the way up to 2 with the lavalier mics, and that's $450, I guess. So there's different configurations. Like, why would I want 2 transmitters? Well, maybe I want to be on camera talking to somebody. Okay, well, I need 2 microphones for that. And then there's a little plug there's like a little jack that goes from this to the camera. And then here's the shotgun mic. Oh, whoops, I didn't switch that one. Whoops. Rode NTG2. So this was the other mic I was suggesting. And then this is just a standard shotgun mic. You do need to get an XLR cable. This little 3-prong output is called an XLR, and you run that from the shotgun mic into your camera. If you have a camera like the ones we were looking at that only have this little 1/8 inch jack on the side, where is that? Okay, so this is not an XLR. So I need to get an XLR to 3.5 cable. So there you go. $8, not bad. It's only 1.5 feet long. So if you want to be doing the setup where you have like the boom pole and stuff, then you need to get like a regular XLR. Like, you can connect this to the camera and then the XLR end to like a longer 10-foot cable or something like that. And then you can also get a boom pole. There's like lots of accessories and things like that. And then this is just a short shotgun. I really like this option. It's just nice and convenient. Like, I personally think that you can put this on top of your camera, and if you're standing close enough to someone, say within 5 feet or 10 feet, this is sufficient. I don't need a lav mic for that. But if somebody's going to be moving around a lot, turning away from the camera, things like that, then I would go with the lav mic option. But otherwise, this serves a lot of purposes. I generally just like to have this because it doesn't matter what I'm shooting. Even if I'm like filming something more atmospheric and environmental, this is going to capture better ambient sound than the built-in camera, than the built-in mic on the camera. So that's pretty much all I have. And I know we're a few minutes over, so I'm going to stop. And anybody is welcome to, I'll put my email in the chat. If anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to talk about gear, but I hope that gives people a sense of like, if you're interested in photography or video, doing things for video, things like that, these are some of the items that you can start to look into. I encourage people to do their own research. Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. You know, like I said, I did not go to film school for this. I just got a little obsessed, and I started watching a lot of camera review videos, and as I'm watching the video, I find out, oh, that camera sucks at this or is superior in that regard. And there's no shortcuts. I mean, there's guides and things like on dpreview.com that can help you along, but ultimately you got to kind of do your own research because nobody's tailoring, reviews and things to your needs. So, thank you so much. And I will see you all later.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.